All right, guys, I just want to thank you guys for joining our Zoom call today. And we're really focusing on small businesses and employees. Right now, we're in very kind of unpredictable, weird, strange time as far as the coronavirus goes, and it's really affected many small business. But even bigger than that, it's affected a lot of our employees and employees literally around the world. So for those of you that are, joining on Facebook, you might be wondering, why is a church, talking about, small businesses and employees? Well, for a couple of reasons. First is, personally, I'm passionate about small businesses. I'm an associate pastor here at Lima Baptist Temple. I've been here for almost a year now, and I owned a business for 10 years in Lima, an insurance agency. My wife, Sarah, owns a business, and she's one of our panelists today. But we really just want to encourage everybody from if you own a small business and employees, and that's what the next few minutes is going to be about, encouraging our small business owners and employees from a Christian perspective. We also have an accountant that's joined us. So let me go ahead and introduce everybody, and then I'm going to have them tell us a little bit about, what their business is, so you guys have a broader perspective and kind of the angle that they're coming from. So like I said, my name is Ben Anderson. I'm an associate pastor here at Lima Baptist Temple. And with us, we have Sarah Anderson, which is my lovely wife. She owns Sarah Sweets in Lima. I'm going to have her tell a little bit more about her business shortly. We also have Katie Kiefer. She is with, gosh, I can't say the whole name. Kiefer, regular here. Did I forget any names?
No, you got them all.
Awesome. Then we have Brad and Rachel Gossard. They have owned businesses for a long time, but most recently you probably know them for Hero Day, and then I think it's Glow Golf, which are both in the Lima Mall, which are awesome. We have Pastor Al. He is our senior pastor here. He is my boss. He's on. He's going to give some encouragement at the end. We have his lovely wife, Lori Elmore, and she's an employee, so she's going to be really encouraging employees out there this morning and talk a little bit about that. And then last but not least, we have Jason Zutch. He owns multiple businesses, but one of them that's affected a lot is Hospitality Wi-Fi, which does Wi-Fi for hotels literally around the world. So let's just dive in. I know everybody wants to hear a little bit about these businesses. So Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
Sure. So Sarah Sweets is a bakery here in Lima, Ohio. So generally during normal times, not right now, we are a walk-in bakery. We have a full display of usually 20 to 25 items to choose from, mostly cupcakes, cookies, brownies, cinnamon rolls. We do custom cakes. We do a lot of weddings. And we just provide that sweet treat to everybody in Lima who is looking for something like that. Do you want us to go deeper or just kind of a brief?
No, that's fine. We can go deeper. So, Brad and Rachel, tell us about the awesome things that you guys have going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got the Hero Day. We're located in the Lima Mall, just a small family entertainment center. We also produce special events throughout the Midwest and the South and work within the fair and amusement industry within in the summer months.
Okay, awesome. And Jason?
Yeah, I own Hospitality Wi-Fi. We have a couple thousand hotels all around the globe. We're heavily focused here in North America, but we've got a lot of hotels in Latin America, Asia, the South Pacific, so like Australia, New Zealand. So we're a global company, and we do specifically we do Wi-Fi for those hotels and casinos, resorts, hotels, motels, RV parks. Basically, I think anywhere that you want to go on vacation, you use the Wi-Fi.
Okay, awesome. Well, Katie, I don't want to leave you out. I know you're joining us kind of as, that accountant, that, professional to give some advice for small businesses and employees. But tell us a little bit about your business.
We are located in Lima and also Bluffton, and we are an individual and business tax firm, and we also take care of businesses' financials throughout the year. We have 7 CPAs on staff, and there's about 25 to 30 of us during tax season. So we are seeing the impacts of all of this as well.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. I know Katie has worked with Sarah and I for the last 10 years. Been with us, well, mostly ups. This is probably the really big first, down that we have, but we appreciate her and her firm joining us just to give us a little additional perspective. But let's kind of dive into really the real reason why we're here. It's not just to share, about our business, but really how our businesses have been affected in the last 2 weeks. I was just thinking this morning just how quick like everything has kind of come out of nowhere. Sarah and I were on vacation the first week of March. And, the coronavirus was out there and we were, somewhat concerned about it, but we weren't even thinking yet about how it might affect our business and, what that would look like. Then we get back, the next week's things are okay. And then, kind of that third week of March, it's just like, what happened? But Sarah, do you kind of want to walk through first kind of what the effects, of
Yeah.
the virus and how that looks?
So here at the bakery, I've got a team of 15 people besides myself. And that first week of March, we were gone. It was pretty much business as usual. Second week of March, like we were hearing more things, but business was pretty much business as usual. We were busy. And then that third week, St. Patrick's Day week, it was like, what is going on? And all of a sudden sales were just like, which is good because we were being asked to stay at home and not go out and run non-essential errands. And I cut a lot of hours from my staff that week. And then pretty much by the end of the week decided that, especially when that order came out, the official stay-at-home mandate from the governor, that I would lay everybody off except myself. So I've gone from a team of 15 to a team of 1, which is interesting. And then I kind of changed the model of the business this last week, the last week of March, to where instead of having a walk-in display, because I felt like that was encouraging folks to leave their homes to come get cupcakes, cookies, we are baking to order. When I say we, I mean me. It just seems weird to say I. I'm so used to we.
I do dishes and help out.
Well, yeah, Ben's been doing dishes. He did actually. I taught him how to make brown butter chocolate chip cookie dough yesterday. So it's been definitely an adjustment. First of all, when considering the laying off of my team, like that is not something I wanted to do. But if the business isn't here to support them, and honestly, after having a lot of conversations with them, most of them did not want to be coming to work. They did not feel comfortable leaving their homes. And I did not want to be somebody who said, like, you must come to work and do this. I wanted them to be comfortable in what they were doing during this situation so they could be home with their families and sheltering in place, if you would say that. So yeah, it's been an adjustment. It's just been me baking to order. We've been able to figure out these big like deliveries we're able to do. I figured out like online ordering through our Square Retail, which has been huge. We've been able to do a lot of orders that way. So my dad and Ben have been helping with those big deliveries, like basically get a big list. We've got 30 to 40 stops and, they're all pretty much getting the same product. So it makes it streamlined and easier for them to just go down the list and drop them on porches through Lima. So that's been going really well. And we're happy that we're able to still bring people a little bit of their favorite comfort food in a safe way. So where they don't feel like they're jeopardizing their health or their safety.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Brad and Rachel, do you guys want to kind of chime in on how, the last couple of weeks have looked for you and kind of the reality of where you guys are today?
Yeah, certainly. So it's kind of like Sarah said, it was the St. Patrick's Day weekend. Well, it really started about 2 weeks before that. We had a live event in Miami, Florida. And about 20 minutes prior to the opening of the event, the county mayor actually called the fair board and said, don't open the gate. So they shut everything completely down in Florida for us. So just as fast as we set all the equipment up, we had to take it all back down and travel it all back to Ohio. Move all the employees back from Florida back to their homes in Ohio here, and unfortunately lay all them off. And it was that weekend there, St. Patrick's Day, that we just noticed that business nosedive, and that's when the media really started snowballing all the information about it. And we got the order on Monday from Governor DeWine that no gatherings larger than 50. And if you've been to the Hero Day on Saturday, there's certainly more than 50 folks in there. And I think it was on that Wednesday that they ordered all trampoline parks and family entertainment centers to cease operations. So it kind of slowed us down, left us with a ton of uncertainty, because at first it was just for the first 2 weeks of, I believe it was till the end of April, and or April 6th it started out too. And then everything was just so open-ended for us that we really didn't know how to proceed with our employees and which approach we had. So we just kind of everybody 2 weeks. And, we started doing a little bit of cleaning and just trying to get the facility whipped back into shape and just little improvements that we could do. But now they've extended us all the way until April 30th. And so it kind of put us out of business for, we've been down for be down for a month and a half. And in addition, we've had to cancel all of our spring live events, all of our running events that we produce throughout Ohio and the Midwest as well. So, I mean, needless to say, and not to fluff it, it's been tough on our business and the entertainment industry as a whole. So there's a lot of people impacted in that sector from all of this.
Jason, you want to go next?
Yeah, the last 4 weeks have been a whirlwind. I don't think, had you told me last month that at the end of March we would be kind of in this position, I would have laughed at you very honestly. My business made it through 2008, 2009, and we did. I mean, it wasn't great. This feels very different. So we started. I think when it really hit me. We have some hotels in China, and we heard a couple months ago that China was closing hotels, and they were actually taking those hotels and using them as hospitals. So that was January, February time. And then come mid-March, I got a phone call from one of our larger customers, and they said, "Hey, look, our hotels are going to be closing. We don't want you to bill our hotels. We want you to give discounts to hotels that are open." Well, obviously, that's how we survive. So I think at that point, it really hit me, oh boy, because at that point I was kind of counting my cash, was saying, okay, hey, look, I was thinking how many months we can make it out if we don't have any new sales coming in. But when they said, hey, we don't want you to bill us because just the way that we're set up, we have an ongoing monthly billing that goes out to our hotels. So we're supporting their Wi-Fi system. But if they don't have any customers, it's hard to pay. So, and that's the exact position that our customers are in. They don't have any hotel guests in their hotel rooms. And so they're calling us every single day saying, hey, can you suspend our billing or can you defer our payments for 90 days? And so that's when it kind of hit me in mid-March that, okay, we're going to have, a serious problem here with just, continuing business as normal. So I think it was about and I apologize, it's been kind of a whirlwind the last couple of weeks. It was about a week and a half ago that I met with my employees in Waves, and we've got about 100 people on staff around the globe. Some people I cut back. There's some people we just can't eliminate because we still have to make sure that some of our hotel networks are up and operational. Some of our hotels have been converted into hospitals here in the U.S., just kind of waiting for the influx of coronavirus patients. Others have completely shut. So we've laid off about 2/3 of my staff here in the U.S., but it's been even busier than for those that remain. It's been extremely busy because we're losing customers left and right saying, hey, look, we can't pay our bill. It's been, I wouldn't say, okay, it's been a nightmare. You always hate to lose business that way, especially when it's something that you just don't expect that comes out of left field. But kind of our position is there are so many people that have it worse than us. We need to make this as easy for our customers and our employees as we possibly can. So the last couple of weeks, just very unexpected, but we know we're going to get through it.
Thanks for sharing. And I know when I was talking with Sarah, she's like, Ben, should I lay off my employees or, should we not? And just kind of that awful feeling you get in your stomach when you're affecting lives and you're affecting people. But, we all want our business to be around for the long term, so that we can continue impacting our communities, impacting our employees in a really positive way. So definitely a few weeks full of a lot of tough decisions, and they're probably not going to stop. So I'm an eternal optimist. I always want to find, that silver lining, if you will. And I want us to kind of look at it from maybe a little bit different perspective. But as you think about, obviously we talked about the economic challenges, how it's affected our business, but, as Christian business owners, how have you still seen God working in your business, during this time? Sarah, you want to take it away?
Sure. So it's been pretty challenging, like been said, the decision making has been the hardest part, is just making decision after decision after decision and knowing who the decision affects. I'm thinking I'm here by myself all the time now, which is a huge adjustment. I'm used to being around a bunch of people. So a lot of time with my thoughts and just thinking about how, at first I was really upset because, when you own a business, you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's like tons of hustle and hard work. And to think that it could all just be destroyed by this virus, and I just was really mad for a few days. And then I just got, in prayer and worship, with the Lord, that, my identity is not in my business. My identity is not in Sarah Sweets. As much as it is a part of me, it's not who I am. My identity is in Christ. So I've been trying to just go back to that. My business is not me. It is something that I do. It is something that provides an income for my family, but it is not who I am. So just trying to focus on my identity in Christ and not get so wrapped up in the selfishness of wanting my business to do well and to succeed has been a real encouragement to me. So if anything, I would say I've just seen God working in my heart through this to kind of get rid of some of that pride that I've had. And then also just being able to just do the right things for my employees. If they were working anywhere else, I don't know if there would have a leader that would say, oh yeah, that's fine. You can all just stay home if that's what you want to do because you feel more safe. To like put their needs first and let them choose their direction for their life and not have consequences from it. I mean, obviously they have consequences of not having a paycheck right now, but most of them have been able to file for the unemployment benefits. So that is definitely a plus. And I've tried to be there for them when they have questions, and I've directed them over to our payroll person at the long name accounting firm. So that's been super helpful for them to know they've got us on their side, helping them navigate through it as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Brad, Rachel.
Yeah, a lot of what Sarah said in the beginning, the uncertainty, and it just kind of ties you to fear in the beginning, and it's just treading in the unknown. But as the first week went by or so, Pastor Al started talking about fear in last week's sermon, and it kind of helped ease the things. And with 12 employees, and I know it's not a lot, but just as everybody works for you, just they're part of the family after a long while. And it's just really navigating the unknown. But just kind of bringing everything into one. And we started receiving messages from our customers, they was letting us know that they was thinking about us through all this strange times. I mean, a lot of them wanted some refunds for some book parties that they had already had, but just, it kind of gave us an opportunity to hit the pause button and bring us back to the foundation as to what we was trying to do in the beginning. And, just let us think about a lot of things that we originally wanted to implement in the business, but every week, everything becomes kind of mundane and you're just going to do the same thing over and over. But it just brings you back to the center and lets you refresh some things that you really wanted to implement in the beginning and bring your business together as a whole. Anything you want to add?
No, I say just working with our customers was probably the biggest. They were just the whirlwind of decisions that we had to make very quickly, and not having any prior experience or guidance from anybody during this time was, I guess it was just everything was all over. And then just going back and just knowing God, he knows this is here. He knows it's going on. And just trusting in him, and we will get through this. And maybe this is just a pause. Hey, sit back, look at your business, and make it better than ever. So
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, going through, what we went through in 2008, 2009, and I didn't have to lay off 2/3 of my staff in 2008, 2009, which I think is what makes this maybe a little harder. I laid off my people kind of in waves, all on the same day. And I think for me, it was very encouraging as I was laying people off and I was kind of explaining the situation to them. We had people that I said, hey, look, we still have customers, we still have to take care of them. And we had several people who responded and came back and said, hey, you know what? I know you're not paying me, but I'm going to still continue to check my email, my voicemail. I'm in. I want to make sure that, that our customers get taken care of. So that was very humbling for me. In fact, we had a good cry about that, to be honest with you, when I came home and kind of shared that with my family. that was just a very special, humbling experience that they would that they felt that way about their work. You know, in addition to that, I think it's been um, Christian again going through 2008, 2009. There was a point in 2008, 2009 where I just said, "Hey, God, this is your business. If it succeeds or fails, it's 100% yours." And I had to come to the realization that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. I can always go do something else. And the bottom line is only money. This isn't anything that we can. I'm going to die with the same and take with me the same amount of money that Steve Jobs took with him and Bill Gates is going to take with him. That money is it's only money. It's not that important to me. So I think as a Christian, I think just the understanding that money is not something that we're going to take with us. I mean, sure, nobody loves to lose money, but I've also tried to kind of take this as an opportunity to, you know, when we are going to come out of this. And so when our customers call us and they're in pain and they're having a hard time with paying their bills, what I've told, you know, my staff is whatever they need. If they need 50% off, or we need to just, you know, we don't charge them for that month, whatever they need, give it to them. Don't fight with them. Be very empathetic. And so I think that as a Christian, you know, we have to kind of put ourselves in the position of our customers and everyone else who's going through these difficult times. We need to be very empathetic, and we need to be providing a lot of mercy to our customers who need to pay us. So as a Christian, you know, we need to, I feel compelled that, you know, my customers are going to remember that. And so while this is a very negative situation, I'm hopeful that at the end of the day, you know, when that customer comes back to us a year from now and they need something, they remember that and they say, you know what, Hospitality Wi-Fi, you really took care of us in those difficult times. We want to take care of you now in the good times. So we're kind of preparing ourselves for that. And if I could share maybe just as a last story, one of our employees that was furloughed, he spent this time working on his mom's house. So he's put a new roof on her house. He's put a new floor in her house. So it's really been a blessing. God has blessed them with this time. He wouldn't have had this time to put this roof on and this flooring down. So the Lord has kind of given him the ability, you know, because he's got a lot of time on his hands to go out and bless his mom in ways that he wouldn't have been able to do before. So we have seen God work through this situation. And again, I think the thing that I'm taking from this, just like I took from 2008, 2009, God's in control. And if my business doesn't make it, I have to be okay with that. I don't think we're in that position yet. I think that, you know, I'm hopeful that this ends within the next couple of weeks. But at the end of the day, it's only money. It's only business. There are things bigger than money in my business in God's eyes.
Well, thanks for sharing, Jason. And you know, when you said your family had a good cry, I think a lot of us have been in that. You know, this was probably 2 weeks ago. You know, Sarah and I both had, you know, breakdowns in the car, wherever, where we were, you know, crying about different things. And then the next day, I don't know how it came up. She's like, "Have you cried at all this week?" I was like, "Yeah, I totally have. Have you?" So I think it's an emotional time for a lot of us, especially in the decision-making process with employees, and you just feel bad, even though we know we're making the right decisions. So it's really cool to see how each of you guys are leaning into the situation, looking for the silver lining, trying to make the best of it. I know personally, I've been trying to focus on not so much on what we've lost, but what we still can do. Because we're still allowed to dream big. We're still allowed to make plans. A lot of good things have come out of really bad situations. Before I bring Katie on to kind of talk about the CARE Act a little bit and just kind of from the accounting side with small businesses, I guess the last question I would have on the small business side is, what are some very practical tips you would share with other small business owners that are going through this whole coronavirus ordeal right now? Sarah?
I don't know that I have a ton of advice, but I would say just take it one day at a time. That's kind of been my focus, is like, what can I do today to serve my community? And that helps me not to freak out when I think about how this could be 6, 8, 10 weeks long. You know, focus on today and this week and what we can do to get through this day and week. And then also try to keep engaged on social media if you can. I know that your customers still want to see you, perhaps. So I've been definitely posting a lot less because I don't want to like encourage people to come to the store. But the posts that I have done have got a lot of engagement, and I think people always like to see the people behind the business too.
Cool. Brad and Rachel, what are your thoughts on tips for small businesses?
Yeah, for sure. Sarah had a lot of good points. Now's an awesome time. I mean, in business, you don't get the opportunity to hit the pause button like this very often to get into your facility. I mean, make the improvements that you've been putting off. And I know if you're a small business, there's always things that we've put off in the past. I mean, paint is super duper cheap if you have a brick and mortar store. I mean, if you're B2B, work on some back end stuff. I mean, touch on your website. All those guys still need work, so reach out to them. I'm sure they'll even work for a few bucks cheaper right now just to keep everything rolling. Your phone systems, I mean, you can always tune up your answering systems. Send some emails out to your customers. Work on the 80-20 rule and just send out some emails to some of your best customers. Let them know that you're still thinking about them, even though your business may not be open. But there's a ton of outreach that you can do to this. Now is definitely not the time to just kind of sit back and relax. The honey-do list is getting shorter and shorter by the day on my end, certainly. But yeah, just spend some time to make things better. I mean, if you got guys in there and you can afford it, we're spending time cleaning our facility just to keep a few dollars turning for some of our employees and stuff like that. But just focus on cleaning up your act, I can say.
Cool. Awesome advice. Jason, what thoughts do you have?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of to build off of all that. We're looking at special projects that need to be done. So things that, from an accounting perspective, things that we've just kind of put off. We said, oh, those are back burner type items that we'll get to eventually. They weren't big ticket items. So we're spending time on those smaller ticket items to try and catch up on some of those things while we're slow. And also, I'm taking the time to call our customers. So people that have been on our service that I've never been able to speak to before, and I'm just calling and talking to them, and again, kind of empathizing with them and finding out this, where they're at. And so again, just trying to build those relationships. So when this does come back, it comes back very strong.
Sounds good. Well, Katie, now the time that I've been waiting for.
I'm sure.
Joining us, but I guess, maybe from your accounting perspective, I know I also invited you on here to share a little bit about kind of the CARE Act and what small, business can do. So I guess maybe at kind of a high level without getting into too many of the nitty-gritty details, because we could be here till noon, just dissecting that, but I guess take it away.
All right. So along with the CARE Act, there are numerous SBA loans that are available to small business. I encourage you to reach out to your CPAs to see their thoughts on that. We have been digging into this very deeply. One of the more important ones is actually called the Paycheck Protection Program. And that one, without getting too much into detail, goes off of prior payroll that you have paid your employees over the past year. And a portion of that can be forgiven. There are definitely stipulations to that. But that is one that we are encouraging all of our employees that still have, or employers that still have employees to apply for. That one is pretty important. And that one can be applied for through your bank. That is not available on the SBA's website. There are other loans that are available on the SBA's website, and you may want to look into those as well. Some of them are a little bit expedited, and they can be rolled in with the payroll protection program. So I won't get too much into that, but I do encourage you to reach out to CPAs. Another thing that can happen is that you are allowed to delay the payment of your employer Social Security portion of your payroll taxes. Starting, we believe, I would say, with your first payroll that happens in April, possibly even the last of March, but we are still unsure of the exact date. And it is simply a deferral. So you would hold that payroll tax and know that you have to pay it, half of it back in 2021 and then half of it back in 2022. But it is something that is helpful, and you are allowed to use that in congruence with the SBA loans. So you can get the loan and you can also do that payroll tax deferral. If some of your loan is forgiven, like I talked about the forgiveness, then you are not allowed to do the payroll tax deferral. Again, why it's extremely important to reach out to your CPA or your financial advisor on that. So those are the big things that are happening with the CARE Act that can help businesses.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, Katie. I was going to ask one more question, but I think now would be a really good time to move on to kind of, focus a little bit more on employees. Obviously we've all shared, as business owners that it's been really tough, for our employees and, just knowing that we're affecting them, affecting their families, affecting their lives. And one of the reasons why I had Lori Elmore, she is our senior pastor's wife. I wanted her to come on to give her perspective from an employee to employee. She's worked for several employers over her career. And she is just a very dedicated worker. Pastor Al always jokes when, he wants to go on vacation or wants to go somewhere, he can never get Lori away from work. But she's always emails on vacation. And I know her employers appreciate that. Yourself in the position that you're temporarily laid off. So you're kind of in the same boat as, many other, millions of Americans, right now. So I guess what would be your encouragement to the employees?
Okay. Yes, I have worked for in various positions throughout my many years of working and everything. But I have to say, this is the first time I have been temporarily laid off. So there's a few things that I sort of jotted down as far as ways of giving encouragement. First, try not to take it personally. The coronavirus pandemic has affected everyone, so I'm sure your employer, your boss, didn't want to have to lay you off. It's affected their business, as we've already seen here and seen this panel discuss. It's affected them and their business and their revenue and their cash flow. So try not to take it personal about being laid off. And then, keep praying that, again, it's just a temporary situation. God's going to see us through it, so, and we have to just keep praying and know that the jobs will be restored. So just keep praying and have the faith. So try not to take it personal and try to, be understanding, about where your boss is coming from, where your employer's coming from, and everything. Second, I would say is try to stay busy, develop a new normal, during this time period. If you aren't working right now, try to get involved with some various ministries or organizations around the town. I know that I've been over to Neighborhood Relief Center, helping them pack food boxes because they are distributing food boxes throughout our county and everything at various distribution sites. So, try to stay busy. If you're able to get out, try to stay busy, try to volunteer somewhere. And just serve somewhere, and everything. If you're not able to get out, there's still other ways to still reach out to people and stay busy. Write notes to people, send encouraging texts, make phone calls to people. Because, when you're giving encouragement to others, that's also encouraging yourself. When you're reaching out and you're serving in different ways that you can, it helps you. It helps your morale, it helps your self-esteem, to stay busy and everything. So, again, I just want to offer encouragement that way, stay strong, keep the faith. One verse that I'm claiming is in Psalm 91, and Al and I just did a Bible study on this last week, and it's one of my favorite passages of scripture, 91 verses 4 through 6, and it says, He will cover you with his feathers. Under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. But then it goes on in verse 5 and 6, it says, You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. God didn't want this to happen. He didn't want this coronavirus pandemic to happen, but it has, and it's affected a lot of people. But we just need to stay strong. We need to keep the faith. We know we're going through uncertain, troubled times, and everything. So we just have to remember that God is our refuge. He is our strength. Here's our fortress. Here's our protector. And, he's going to see us through this. And, and he's going to be our deliverer through all this. And so, again, just try to stay busy. Try to do something, try to remember this, and everything.
Cool. Well, Lori, thanks so much for sharing that. And Katie, do you want to kind of chime in again on, specifically for individuals, what does the CARE Act look like? There's a lot of great things for individuals, and kind of share a little bit about that.
Sure. The first thing that I think is good to segue with, as Lori was just talking about, is unemployment. That those benefits are being increased, and by $600 a week, actually, which is quite an increase for unemployment. Also, people who are eligible. So if someone owned their own hair salon, those are typically the ones that I think of right away. A lot of those girls are self-employed, or guys, and they can go and apply for those unemployment benefits where those were not available to them before. So I know I had some that tried to do it a bit prematurely and they had some difficulty, but now I think it's starting to happen. Don't be frustrated while you're doing that either, because everyone right now is doing it. So it is a little bit slower of a process for you. The next thing is the individual stimulus, the $1,200 that everyone's been hearing about they're going to get in their bank account. There are income thresholds. Those are $75,000 to $99,000 of adjusted gross income for individuals. That number doubles if you are married. So it goes off of your 2019 income tax. If those have not been filed yet, it will use your 18 return to use the numbers for you. So if you have not, or if you've taken advantage of the July 15th, the new deadline, which we don't like to advertise, then then it may go off of your 18 return. One other thing that's kind of important, we feel, is that if anyone is in dire need of money, you are able to access your retirement accounts without any penalties, up to $100,000. There is repayment on that. There is some forgiveness on that. You're going to want to talk to your financial advisor about that, because it's also very important. And also for anyone who is 70 and a half or older that's taking their required minimum distributions, those are not required to be taken in 2020. So you'll want to talk to your advisors about that. If you don't need to take those, you may want to kind of hold off on those. One other thing quickly with the stimulus payment, and then I will wrap up my portion. Individuals that did not have to file a tax return because they're getting Social Security, older individuals usually fall into that age range. They do need to file something that shows their income if they want the $1,200 stimulus payment. So if you know of anyone who may not have filed a tax return because income was too low, or they didn't have a requirement, please have them get a hold of someone who can help them out there. But yes, and I, just to share really quickly, I've also seen God working through my clients. I was having a terrible day yesterday. Sorry, I get teary and emotional. But one of my clients sent a very good email that just said, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, but I know who is in control. So to hear that kind of thing from people is just amazing. And it happens on a daily basis, just when you need it. So thank you for doing this. This has just been incredible.
And thank you to everybody. I know, each of you are leaning into it. I know here at the church, we're trying to lean into it, make it the best situation. And, one of the reasons I really wanted to do this whole, kind of business roundtable and talk about from the employee perspective was to give encouragement. Especially in times like this, we should never, hold back what we're going to say, as long as it's good, because we never know how our words are going to affect people. And I think this is going to be a really powerful thing to, help small businesses and employees, maybe have a little bit different perspective on this. So thank you so much. Since we are at the church, I cannot do anything without having Pastor Al, say a few words. I'm surprised he's been relatively quiet for 46 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah, a few words are kind of hard, but I'll say this. I appreciate all of y'all sharing, but I've never pastored a church during the pandemic. And so this is a first. Hopefully it's the last. But so, I'm not going to tell you everything that's things you probably don't know, but I think number one is, even for me, I have emotion in dealing with this. And if we're all honest, we probably have had some emotions of anger. We've had some of, we can call it sadness. We can call it frustration. We can go through depression, the thing I've preached on, which has captivated this world now, fear. But the deal is, even sometimes it becomes bitterness, and we cannot let that hold us hostage during all of this. Let me give you an example. You have to be able to process this stuff and try to find something to be thankful for. many months ago, Lori, well, for the new year, she had talked about this gratitude journal, and she does that every day. And like this morning, I don't know about you, if you set your coffee, to come on automatically or whatever, but if I'm in the bed and Lori's up before me, which never happens, but you smell the coffee.
10 a.m. yesterday.
The smell of coffee, you could go write that down. Thank God for the smell of coffee, because there's some people that's not only lost their coffee business, but some can't even afford a coffee pot maybe after this. You know what I mean? It is the simple things like that we've got to understand. And for me, even here at the church, man, we're finding a silver lining in a lot of things. For us, for me to preach to a big empty building, but especially our older generation that would once didn't understand when we say we need a technology upgrade. When we come back from this and say, we really need to upgrade our technology. Well, Pastor, you remember that time back during that coronavirus and you had your faith, see what I mean? We have people now in their 70s or 80s. I mean, they're loving this. They have the Facebook Live. They're learning that the smart TV is not smarter than them. They can watch YouTube. And so we're finding things in that. They're finding things in that. But for me, it's always been, this has been very challenging, but it's very rewarding. And our staff is really working. We're continuing ministry. But one of my favorite verses has always been the Philippians 4:8 verse. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is, lovely, whatever, all these things, think about it, commendable. If there's anything excellent, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And that's what we have to do. And, there's over 6,000 promises in the Bible that God's given us. And he hadn't broke a single one of them yet. And those are the things that we have to focus on. And let me just say this, and I'll kind of close it out here. But for those of you who go to church here, Psalms 37 was my first sermon I ever preached. It's my favorite. And because it deals with so much of the worry aspect. And 3 times in that passage, God says, do not fret, do not fret, do not fret. Don't get uptight. Don't get anxious. Don't let the pressures of the world get you down. Because, see, we all have a settled course of life. You all had a settled way, certain way you did business. Guess what? You wake up and it's different. And worry is not like a light switch. You go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. It's not like a light switch, something you just cut off and on. But the Bible didn't give us reasons why we wouldn't worry. Then we would worry. But here you go. It says, trust in the Lord. Now notice all of these say in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. Sometimes it's just hard to trust in the Lord, isn't it? But we have to trust in the Lord. Second way, one of my favorite verses is delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. That doesn't mean that you just delight in everything and then God's just going to give you this $1 million. No. It means if you want exactly what God wants for your life, you'll have exactly that. But let me tell you something. The reason people get depressed now, they become suicidal, is because, see, if they even lose their business, if they lose their house, if they lose a car, they lose their joy. You know why? Because their delight was in those things, not in God. And you have to put your delight in something that circumstances can't put a dent in, and that's the Lord. Thirdly, it says commit your way to the Lord. That's a Hebrew word. It means to roll. Commit your career, commit your lifestyle, commit your reputation to God. Roll everything over to God. And lastly, here you go. Rest in the Lord. Be still and know that I'm God. Do you know the hardest thing for me to do is to be still, right, Lori? Is to be still.
Yeah.
In Psalms 23, I want you to think about this. I use this a lot with people. He makes me lay down in green pastures. For me, that's what God's had to do to me more than one. For you that own a business now, guess what God's doing? He's making you lie down in green pastures. When you're too busy to lie down in green pastures. It doesn't matter how godly, how spiritual you are, how unspiritual you are. Sometimes that's just how God works in our lives. So I want you to say, I know that, what Jason said earlier, nobody likes to lose money. But you know what? Naked we came in this world, and naked we're going out. Amen? I'm done.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for everybody for, sharing, really from your hearts about how your businesses have been affected, how your employees have been affected, and just ways other small businesses can better lean into this, as well as, the employees that we, love so dearly. And for those that have joined us on Facebook or YouTube Live, thanks so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Ben Anderson. I am at Lima Baptist Temple. Any questions or comments, just leave there on the comments on Facebook and YouTube, and we will get back with you. We will see you later.